My son left the school because Carter's so-called discipline crushed his confidence. I'm not surprised at all he's still doing this. One Friday, Layla called me in tears.
Daddy, he made me come to his house. He said I was in trouble for not finishing my homework. He made me do laundry, wash dishes. I had to clean his bathroom.
My hands clenched so tight on the steering wheel I could feel my pulse in my fingertips. I filed a complaint with the school. Officer Brooks, we've spoken to Mr. Carter and he insists he was merely trying to instill discipline. That's not discipline. That's exploitation. That's abuse. Without concrete evidence, you can't or you won't. Their silence was answer enough. I remembered his smirk from the first day I dropped Layla off in his class. Something about it was familiar. Then it hit me. Greg Carter. In high school, Greg tripped me in front of the cafeteria once. Another time, he cornered me in the locker room saying, "Bet your daddy picked cotton before he picked you up from school." And once in gym, he tied my shoelaces together so I'd fall during basketball. When I hit the floor and split my lip, he laughed so hard he almost cried. The years had passed, but his smirk hadn't changed. I started stalking him to see what he was always up to. I've worn my badge for 12 years. In that time, I've dealt with drug dealers, armed robbers, domestic abusers, you name it. But nothing gets my blood boiling like someone hurting my daughter. Her name's Layla. She's 11, bright, funny, with a laugh that could make even the crankiest old man smile. She's also one of the few black kids in her fancy private school, one my late wife worked herself to the bone to get her into before she passed away. I promised her I'd protect Layla, no matter what. It started small. She'd come home quieter. She'd eat her dinner slower. "Baby girl, what's going on at school?"
It's fine, Daddy.
Don't give me that. I can tell when something's wrong.
It's just Mr. Carter. He doesn't like me.
At first, I thought maybe he was just strict. But then, the stories started. One day, Layla told me she'd raised her hand to answer a question about the civil rights movement.
I said Martin Luther King gave his speech in Washington, D.C., and Mr. Carter said,
"Oh, I'm surprised you know that much. Guess you people do pay attention sometimes." Another time,
he told me my braids looked unprofessional and that I was distracting other students. Daddy, my hair's just my hair.
Then came the group project.
I got stuck with all the hard parts, and when I asked if we could divide it fairly, he said,
"Sometimes in life, you'll have to work twice as hard to get half as far."
And then he winked at me.
It wasn't just Layla. I heard from another parent that Carter had embarrassed a boy named Jamal in math class. "I know the answer, Mr. Carter. Math might not be your thing, Jamal. Maybe stick to something else." And another day, a girl named Aisha asked to go to the bathroom during a test. "No, I can't just have you wandering the halls. You people like to take your time." That phrase, "you people," burned into my mind. Layla came home one day looking angry, but holding it in, the way she does when she's trying not to cry. I sat down with her at the kitchen table, and she finally let it spill.
"Daddy," Mr. Carter told me, and the other black kids,
"Sit in the back of the class so we'd be less distracted."
He said it like a joke, but everyone laughed.
I felt my jaw tighten, but she wasn't done.
And today, this white kid threw a paper ball at me. I threw it back, and Mr. Carter sent me to detention. He didn't even say anything to him.
Hearing it from her own mouth hit harder than seeing it myself. That's when I knew I had to move from just being angry to taking action. I used my police access to dig into Carter's record, and sure enough, there were other complaints. Parents, mostly black, saying the same thing. Every one of them had been dropped. I even went to talk to another black parent whose kid had been in Carter's class before. "My son left the school because Carter's so-called discipline crushed his confidence. I'm not surprised at all he's still doing this." One Friday, Layla called me in tears.
"Daddy, he made me come to his house. He said I was in trouble for not finishing my homework. He made me do laundry, wash dishes. I had to clean his bathroom."
My hands clenched so tight on the steering wheel I could feel my pulse in my fingertips. I filed a complaint with the school. "Officer Brooks, we've spoken to Mr. Carter and he insists he was merely trying to instill discipline. That's not discipline. That's exploitation. That's abuse. Without concrete evidence, you can't or you won't." Their silence was answer enough. I remembered his smirk from the first day I dropped Layla off in his class. Something about it was familiar. Then it hit me. Greg Carter. In high school, Greg tripped me in front of the cafeteria once, sending my lunch tray flying while he shouted, "Clean up on aisle 5." Another time, he cornered me in the locker room saying, "Bet your daddy picked cotton before he picked you up from school." And once in gym, he tied my shoelaces together so I'd fall during basketball. When I hit the floor and split my lip, he laughed so hard he almost cried. The years had passed, but his smirk hadn't changed. I started stalking him to see what he was always up to. I parked across from the school in an unmarked car on my days off. I recorded him nitpicking black students, calling them out for small mistakes while ignoring worse behavior from white kids. One afternoon, I followed him after school. I watched him go into a liquor store, buy a bottle, drink from it in his car, and drive off. That gave me an idea. The next evening, I caught him leaving that same store. I hit the lights. "Evening, Mr. Carter. Been drinking tonight?" "Oh, come on, man, just one or two." "One or two is enough. You know that?" I paused, letting the tension simmer. "Heard you've been disciplining my daughter. She's got potential, just needs toughening up. That's what I do. With her, with other black kids, makes them stronger." That was all I needed to hear. A few nights later, I called him from a blocked number, told him there was a parent complaint we needed to discuss at his house. When I got there, I started recording. "Let's talk about Layla, and Jamal, and Aisha. They're weak. I'm helping them." "Helping? By making them scrub your toilet?" "If their fathers did their jobs," I stepped closer, baiting him. "Guess that's why you were always such a coward back in school, huh? Still hiding behind your little smirk? Watch your mouth." "Or what? You gonna trip me again? Tie my shoelaces?" He shoved me. I shoved back. Hard. "Stop resisting." "I'm not." I pinned him, cuffed him, and arrested him for assaulting an officer and DUI. He got a year in county jail for assault on an officer, but his real punishment started inside. I had a few words with some black inmates I trusted. Told them exactly what Carter had done to Layla and other kids. "So, you the teacher who made that little girl scrub your toilet? It's not like that." "Nah, we gonna make it like that." They made him teach them math while mocking him. "Yo, Carter, what's 2 plus 2? Bet you don't think we can answer. Better get it right or you clean in the bathroom." They gave him the worst chores, tripped him in the cafeteria, called him Mr. Tough Love every time he walked past. When I saw him a year later at his release hearing, he looked smaller, quieter. The smirk was gone. "You set me up." "Nah, you set yourself up years ago when you decided being a bully was your life's work." Carter thought prison was the worst thing that could happen to him. He was wrong. After he got out, he tried to keep a low profile, but I wasn't done. Not by a long shot. One morning, he woke up to find his front yard covered in trash, empty detergent bottles, old socks, and school papers. Someone had spray painted "back of the class" in giant letters across his fence. Even better, a clothesline strung between his trees was covered in stained shirts and pants, swaying in the breeze like the laundry he'd once forced my daughter to wash at his house. He never knew who did it, but I smiled every time I drove past. Then there was the reunion. A few months later, he got an invitation to a special high school reunion for our graduating year. He showed up, trying to look confident, only to walk into a room full of people he used to bully, including me. The air went cold when he realized it wasn't a reunion at all. It was an intervention. One by one, his old victims told their stories. Some laughed, some shouted, some just stared at him until he squirmed. He left before the fake group photo we had planned. Him in the middle, surrounded by everyone he'd wronged. But my favorite? The job interview. Months later, Carter applied for a private tutoring position. What he didn't know was that the company was actually a setup run by a few ex-students, and me. We sat across from him, dead serious, asking questions like, how do you ensure all students feel equally valued? And what's your stance on diversity in the classroom? Watching him stumble, sweat, and ramble was almost as satisfying as the prison years. In the end, we told him we'd be in touch. We weren't. So yeah, don't mess with my kid. And definitely don't mess with a cop who remembers you from high school. If you liked hearing how a racist bully ended up cleaning toilets for the very people he looked down on, hit that like button, subscribe, and maybe share this with a teacher who actually cares about their students.